Have you ever wondered how a computer actually understands what we write? In this video, we're going to write your very first C++ program, step by step. And by the end, you won't just be watching code, you'll be writing it. Before we write any code, we need the right tools. To write and run C++ programs, you need two things. A code editor, where you type your program. And a compiler, which translates your code into instructions your computer understands. There are many beginner-friendly options. Let me show you a few. First, Visual Studio Code. It's completely free and works on Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. It's lightweight and highly customizable, but you'll need to install a separate compiler like MinGW. Next, Code Blocks. Also free and cross-platform. The Fmingu setup version comes with a built-in compiler, making it beginner-friendly. Dev C++ is another option. It's free and simple to use, but it only works on Windows. Also, it's a bit outdated and not maintained actively. Finally, there are online IDEs like Replit and cpp.sh. They run right in your browser, no installation needed. Great if you just want to try C++ without setting up anything. No matter which one you choose, the important thing is, start coding. Now that you've got your tools set up, it's time to write your very first C++ program. And the one we're starting with is a classic, the Hello, World program. Why Hello, World? Because it's simple, short, and it shows you the basic structure that every C++ program must follow. Let's open up your editor, whether it's Code Blocks, VS Code, or an online IDE, and start typing. Here's the full program. Looks small. Sure. But there's a lot packed into these few lines. Let me show you what each part means and why it matters. This line is called a preprocessor directive. It tells the compiler to include a library named iostream, which lets us do input and output, like printing to the screen. This line is optional, but helpful for beginners. It saves us from typing std cout every time. Without this line, we'd have to write std cout hello world. Then, we define the main function. This is where every C++ program starts. When your program runs, the computer looks for the main function and begins executing from there. Inside main, we write. This line prints the text hello, world, to the screen. Let's break it down. Cout stands for console output. The symbols are called insertion operators. They send data into the output stream. Hello, world, is a string, text inside double quotes. Endl moves the cursor to the next line. Finally, we close the function with. This tells the operating system that the program ended successfully. Returning 0 is a convention in C++ to say, everything went fine. Alright, let's now take a closer look at the structure of the program you just wrote. Even though it's just a few lines, each one has a specific purpose, and understanding these parts is essential as you move forward in C++. Let's go through it, line by line. This is called a preprocessor directive. Think of it as a request to the compiler, please bring in a toolkit called iostream, so I can use commands like cout to print to the screen. In C++, input and output are not built into the language by default. You need to include a library that provides them, and that's what iostream does. iostream stands for input-output stream. C++ organizes its features into groups called namespaces. Most of the standard features, like cout, cin, and endl, live in a namespace called std. Without this line, you'd have to write std cout hello world. Std endl, but by writing using namespace std, you tell the compiler, just assume everything I'm using is from the standard library unless I say otherwise. It's not required, but it keeps your code simpler when you're starting out. This is the entry point of every C++ program. The program starts running from the main function, always. Int means that this function will return an integer. The empty parentheses mean it takes no arguments, for now. Then we open a code block. This tells the compiler, everything inside these curly braces is part of the main function. Let's break this down. Cout equals console output, from iostream. Equals, send this to the output stream. Hello, world. Equals a string of text to display. Endl equals end the line, like pressing enter. It also flushes the output buffer, which is important in some situations. So, this entire line says, print hello, world, and then go to the next line. You can also use \n instead of endl, but we'll talk about that later. This is the last line inside main. It returns the value 0 to the operating system, which means, the program ran successfully. You can actually omit this line in modern C++ compilers, and the compiler will assume return 0 automatically. But it's a good habit to keep it, it makes your intent clear. This closes the main function. Every opening needs a closing, otherwise, the compiler will give you an error. So there you have it, your very first C++ program, fully explained. These building blocks will appear in almost every program you write. If this feels like a lot, that's okay. What matters is, you're learning to read code like a developer. The more you see it, the more natural it becomes. In the next section, we'll compile and run this code to see it in action. Before we run our code, there's something you need to understand. In C++, you don't run the code directly. Instead, you first have to compile it. So what does that mean? Let's break it down. When you write a program, you're writing human-readable code, we call that source code. But your computer doesn't speak C++. It only understands machine code, a long stream of zeros and ones. That's where the compiler comes in. Here's your source code. It's just a .cpp file. The computer can't understand it yet. The compiler takes your C++ code. Checks it for errors. And if everything is okay, it translates it into a file the computer can run, called an executable. On Windows, it might be main.exe. On Linux or Mac, it's usually just a .out. Once the code is compiled successfully, then you can run it. So remember, compile equals build your code. Run equals execute the compiled program. You open the command prompt. And we compile the code. Now that the code is compiled successfully, we can run the executable. On Windows, it's usually a file called hello.exe. Navigate to the folder where your file is saved. And type, hello.exe. Then hit enter. And voila! You should see, hello, world. Your very first C++ program is now running. Most beginner mistakes happen during compiling. If there's a missing semicolon, a typo, or a bad symbol, you'll get a compiler error. That's perfectly normal. Making mistakes and fixing them is how you learn. In the next part, we'll actually compile and run your code, step by step. By now, you've seen how to write and run a simple C++ program. But if you're just starting out, you'll probably face some common beginner errors. And that's okay, everyone does. Let's go through a few of the most frequent ones, and how to fix them. C++ is very picky about syntax. Forgetting a semicolon, at the end of a statement. That's one of the most common mistakes. Opening a curly brace, without closing it properly. That breaks the structure of your program. Always make sure every curly brace has a matching one. Accidentally typing include E instead of include. Or writing C out T instead of C out. The compiler won't recognize it, and it'll throw an error. Forgetting return 0, at the end of main, isn't always fatal, but in some compilers, it might give a warning. It's a good habit to always include it. Here are a few tips to help you debug your code faster. 1. Read the first error message, not just the last one. 2. Use line numbers to locate issues quickly. 3. Try commenting out blocks of code to isolate the problem. 4. If you're stuck, Google the error message. Seriously. Everyone does it. Don't be afraid of errors. They're not failures, they're feedback. The more you fix, the faster you learn. Every great programmer started with these exact same mistakes. Great job making it this far. You've now learned how to write, compile, and run a basic C++ program, and you've seen some of the most common beginner mistakes, and how to fix them. But this is just the beginning. In the next video, we'll take things a step further by exploring variables. How to store data, name it, and use it in your programs. So if you're ready to build real logic into your code, you won't want to miss it. And hey, if you found this helpful, consider giving the video a like, thumbs up, and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep coding, and stay curious.